Firstly, thank you so much for the invitation from the Mongolian Renewables Industries Association to give me a chance to make a speech here representing to Make Consulting, a Danish renewable consulting company. I think some of the Western turbine manufacturers or cooperators might be familiar with us. So today I brought some materials and insights that date by the research team of our company about the global wind market, key policies and analysis. Well, I suppose the expert from the GGGI has mentioned some materials and insight about the global renewable energy policy analysis. So in the speech I made today, I will just focus on some key regional markets from the wind side to talk about some research results about the policy changes and trend. Well, according to the content, I will just give a brief overview about the current global wind power market development trend, and then we focus on the policy analysis of the whole global market and some key regional case studies. And finally, just give a brief introduction about our company and service portfolio. But first, let's have a brief introduction and look about the global wind power market development. In the next 10 years, as the forecast from Make Consulting side, we can easily find out it performing. I mean the graphic from the right side, maybe they'll show on there, so later numbers. So it performs a relatively 40 to 60 gigawatt installation capacity increase every year. So though the average development speed is not that fast, but it is relatively stable for installation capacity and grid connection capacity. And for the mainstream market that contributes to installation most, we can easily find out that China, United States, Germany, India, etc. are the main markets similar to the current status that we find in 2017. China will still install around 35 to 42% of the wind power installation in the next 10 years, according to the development 13th and 14th development plan support from the central government for both onshore and offshore. But compared to China, the development speed of the United States is a little complex because though it still installs at the second place of all the regional markets, but after 2020, due to the policy changes, we can easily find a decrease for the United States on installation of wind power capacity. And apart from China and the US, we can easily find out there's some mature market in Europe, just like Germany, France, Denmark, etc., are still growing fast till 2022 for the combination between onshore and offshore. After paying attention to the main market globally, which contributes to the capacity most, we also need to pay attention to some emerging markets that may start to look at after 2014. We select 20 emerging markets globally according to the policy support trend and also some advantages for finance and also turbine selection. So for different continents, we also select different countries according to the forecast. And different from 2014 that we started paying attention to these countries 4 years ago, all these emerging markets covered for 20 countries has already contributed to around 15 to 20% of the total installation capacity globally. So it means emerging markets start to grow in the next 10 years will highly affect the market development trend. And inside these kinds of countries, we can find some Asian countries just like Pakistan, Myanmar, Vietnam, etc. So after the overview of the current global market forecast in the next 10 years, we have an overall understanding about how the market will go until 2026 or more. So after that, let's pay much more attention to the policy changes and the current status of wind power. From this chart, we can find out For different kinds of countries in Asia Pacific, EMEA, Americans, and also the Europe and Middle East countries, they follow different kinds of policies on the wind powers. Some start from the feed-in tariff by change to auctions. Some start from the FIP and GC, but also change to tender solutions. Since 2014, the whole market starts to do cost reduction, and the IR space of the wind farms have been shrinking so fast from the higher level. So from the current trend, we can easily find out that some countries, especially some emerging markets globally for wind power development, they just start from the feed-in tariff support of the central government to give extreme support to wind power development, IPPs, and also asset owners. And with this market developing so fast and the cost reduction developing also healthily, we can easily find out that some of the countries start to do the decrease of the FIT. Finally, they change the FIT system into auctions, just like what we see in India, in Australia, etc. So let's pay attention to some regional markets to see how it looks like on the changes of the policies on wind power. Firstly, let's take Europe as an example. For Europe, it is the most mature market, just like where May come from. May Consulting is a Danish consulting company. So we can easily find out Denmark and also the Nordic countries, just like Germany, etc. The most mature wind power development markets, which has over 20 to 25 years developing history of wind power industry. So we can see that various kinds of policies occurs in this in the European market according to different kinds of market conditions for different countries. But for the top 5 or 6 countries in Europe, just like Germany, Denmark, New Zealand, France, Belgium, etc. in future, we can find that the trend of the auction development is upwards, just like the expert from the GGGI mentioned in the speech in the morning. So we can also see some auction prices decreasing so fast in both Europe and Asia. And for Europe, both onshore and offshore wind farm development start to shift from the current, from the previous policy trend, policy issues to the auction system to push the cost reduction for the whole industry and together to increase the market-driven trend development in these mature markets. And apart from Europe, we can see something about China. Someone just mentioned some of the current conditions of China. Just give some brief summary of China. This market, which has also grown for around 20 years. Now, China is facing this kind of process on shrinking from the current FIT system to auctions. From this year, we have seen a lot of policies and this kind of environmental pilot project development status for policy side to try to change from the current FIT level to the auction system. And from the current FIT level, it differs from different IEC class wind resources regions and to link directly to the FIT pricing level. And so for the whole market, and by 2022, China central government and also the National Energy Association targets to finish the destination on the grid connection equally between the wind power and also the coal power. So this kind of destination or goal achievement is really hard to achieve currently according to the industry feedbacks. The auction trend is still obvious. We just received a pilot document from the National Energy Association of China that from next year, 2019, most of the projects for wind power that are built start bidding process need to shift from the current FIT level FIT system to auction system to go public auctions or private auction systems in order to reduce the cost pressure of the IPPs and together to push the combination between the coal power and wind power ecosystem. After China, let's pay attention to India. I think we have seen some case study in India for auctions and morning from the speeches, but I just want to mention something more about India. Previously, India also follows the feed-in tariff reduction system, and it's reduced every year, just like China did today. But after 2015 to 16, when the first auction price level is published among the market, we can easily find out several states start to shift from the FIT system to auctions, and even the first auctions which are published in the Indian market is below $50 per megawatt hour. So it's so amazing, even for some European countries which they have material supply chain system and material turbine selection criteria system. For India, we can easily see that the current auction system driven, with the current auction system driven, the auction pricing level is decreasing so fast in the top 3 wind resources markets, just like Gujarat, etc. So, which means that the market in India is much more difficult to get the current margin space stable. And most of the turbine manufacturers, EPC suppliers, operational and maintenance suppliers need to do more to do cost reduction for both the technical and the commercial side. And finally, let's pay attention to some emerging markets in the other parts of Asia, just like Australia, South Korea, and the other Southeast Asian countries, and Pakistan. And most of these countries are doing the same things, just like what I mentioned before, is changing from the current or previous policies of support from the central government, just like FIT or LCG or REC from the South Korea, to the current auction level. And some countries do start so fast, just like Pakistan. Pakistan, they follows just behind India to do the auction process, and many people are worried about it. And together, we can see Australia 2 years, we can more or less see the first round of auction pricings published in the Australian both wind and solar market. So for the other Southeast markets, just like Vietnam, Myanmar, Indonesia, and so on, these kinds of markets just still follows the FIT system. But when we talk about the central government and also the regional government policy makers, which have the decision-making capabilities, they are also willing to change it from the current system to auctions in order to reduce the cost pressure from both the government and the IPPs or asset owners. So we can easily find out the trend developing so fast in Asia, maybe still much more faster than the European market. But one thing I need to mention is that we have seen dozens of tenders, or we see auction pricing levels published for solar in Mexico and in the UAE, and also in Saudi Arabia, which are super low. But compared to these countries, when we pay attention to the Asian countries, there's a still big gap between these kind of different regions in Asia and these emerging markets. Is that the cost of the labors, the cost of the land, the cost of the transmission system hasn't been solved. But for Mongolia, I think we, according to current condition, wind or solar resources of the market in Mongolia, we can easily find out the cost reduction space, and the IR space, financing space, is still obvious for the first 1 or 2 projects starting execution, just like some experts mentioned before my speech. Finally, due to time limitation, I already knew that I only have 10 minutes, so just a brief introduction about our company, May Consulting, a Danish wind consulting company, which we focus on the wind and solar consulting services for both research and consulting side. We publish research reports and databases every year to support our clients. And last year, we are acquired by a British natural resources consulting company named Wood Mackenzie. Now we are part of the Wood Mackenzie Power and Renewable business unit. So our service portfolio shift from wind and solar to the whole power and renewable, including power, solar, wind storage, batteries, etc. We provide both as well research and consulting services to our clients globally. We have over 400 clients for research and consulting side, including investors, ABB, the scandal sponsors, which have great contribution to this conference. And here is some of my bio. It's not that important. Finally, if you have any questions about the wind power development, also the renewable energy development in both Mongolia, also the Asia Pacific, and you want to do some business strategy and development, this way, please feel free to contact us, or we can wish to have some potential cooperation. Finally, thank you for listening to my speech and wish a bright future about renewable power industry in Mongolia. Thank you.